Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. My name is Emma Vigeland, in for Sam Seder, and this is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Michael Edison Hayden joins us to talk about the hotbed of far-right politics that exists in northern Idaho. Also on the program, former Prince Andrew arrested in the UK on suspicion of misconduct in office due to his Epstein ties. Billionaire Les Wexner, listed as a co-conspirator in the files and one of Bondi's improper redactions, testified to the Oversight Committee that Epstein duped him. He was so charismatic. That's their excuse. Sure.
Look at Wexner's message to Epstein in the birthday book.
Yeah,
the little illustration he drew of a woman's chest.
He let Epstein live in his house.
Yeah.
Despite the federal government claiming they've drawn down ICE activity in Minnesota, local reports show they've moved their activities just to the suburbs. A federal judge in Minnesota finds a Trump DOJ lawyer in civil contempt for stealing an immigrant's identifying papers after the judge ordered his release. Even Trump supporters are starting to express concern about ICE buying up warehouses in their neighborhoods, mostly for racist reasons, but...
And property value reasons.
Yeah, well, which is what I just said.
Related.
The White House has directed DHS to target naturalized citizens with voter fraud investigations for their past votes, which is just a brazen intimidation tactic. CNN is reporting that Iran strikes are imminent, but also that Trump is still weighing options, which to me sounds like someone trying to lock Trump in by saying that to CNN. The U.S. is withdrawing nearly all of the 1,000 troops in Syria. The so-called Board of Peace is meeting today, but Mexico's Claudia Sheinbaum turned down Trump's invitation because Palestine was not included. Please be our president instead. Bernie Sanders held a rally in California in support of the state's proposed 5% tax on billionaires. And lastly, South Korea's former president has been found guilty of insurrection and was sentenced to life in prison.
Huh.
All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's an Majority Report Thursday. Well, I'm hosting today per usual, but Sam is still out this week. He'll be out tomorrow. It's winter break here in New York for the kids. So Sam will be back on Monday with us. The Jeffrey Epstein fallout, the dominoes that continue to fall, is one of the top stories still in the country. In Europe, we're seeing actual steps towards accountability that the United States has not engaged in on this.
The Wasserman guy having to sell his agency is the only thing we've seen, the closest thing we've seen to actual, and I guess Kathy Rumler losing her job at Goldman Sachs.
Larry Summers had to step down from Harvard, but I mean,
these are voluntary, there's no actual investigations into these people. It's
exactly.
They've embarrassed the institution that should have known better, and there's no question, with Keir Starmer in the UK acting like they're surprised that Peter Mandelson was implicated in this. when he was picked by Keir Starmer, they were saying he was known as the Lord of the Dark Arts. What dark arts did they think people were referring to?
It really is an example of the rot of American society, that the impulse is to just let the market decide what the punishment is. It really is. It's a free market mentality. You lose your job. That's not what the justice system is. These people need to be actually put through a court process and tried for their alleged criminality, because that's what justice actually is. It's not just losing your fancy job and getting to remain a millionaire in your Palm Beach home.
There is a time that the state needs to kick people's doors down and gather evidence in their residences. And we're way beyond that for this Epstein class.
So Prince Andrew, stripped of his titles, but not just that, arrested today on suspicion of misconduct while in office. This is the first arrest of a royal since 1647, when Charles I was arrested during the English Civil War.
Yeah, pretty based thing. Shout out John Milton, who was for the Revolutionary Republican government, one of their sort of spokespeople, and indeed wrote the thing about how actually God would want us to be able to chop the heads off of kings.
We should probably engage in some of that discourse today. It's so it's seismic, and it is bittersweet, because I saw, the family of Virginia Giuffre, who was victimized by Prince Andrew, put out a statement. I wish she was still here to see this day, but she's not. She's one of the many people who mysteriously died in Jeffrey Epstein's wake. Relatedly, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal that came out last night about Jean-Luc Brunel, a French modeling agent who worked with Epstein. He was a central figure in recruiting girls for Epstein's trafficking operation in Europe. And the Journal reported that he was secretly negotiating in 2016 with the lawyers that were representing Epstein's victims, was going to cooperate, then went dark. And people may remember he was arrested in 2020 in France and mysteriously died in jail in 2022. It's so odd how this keeps happening.
Man, these prisons, these deaths just keep happening.
We're told that these are supposed to be places of the utmost security, and yet all of these lapses continue to happen. It's odd. And so then you have billionaire Les Wexner, who testified to the House Oversight Committee yesterday. He was listed as a co-conspirator in the files, but he was redacted illegally. And Ro Khanna ended up revealing him as one of the names that was illegally redacted by Pam Bondi's Department of Justice. Wexner's trying to distance himself from Epstein. He, in this testimony, which he did remotely to the House Oversight Committee, was just talking about how he was duped by Epstein. He said Epstein lived a double life and he was a master manipulator. Those were his words. Epstein lived in Les Wexner's home, like Wexner's literal home. Epstein managed Wexner's personal finances for over a decade. And as Matt mentioned earlier, Wexner alluded to their misdeeds in the birthday book that also included, of course, the note from Donald Trump. And once again, Virginia Giuffre very bravely pointed out that Wexner came out and said Wexner was one of the people that Epstein forced her to have sex with when she testified.
Here's the illustration that Wexner gave to Jeffrey in the birthday book. Dear Jeffrey, I wanted to get you what you want. So here it is. And boobs.
Boobs, right. And he was indignant in his testimony that he's never been unfaithful to his wife. Ever.
Don't believe you.
That illustration makes it seem like, and the association with Epstein, I don't know, makes it seem like, yeah, perhaps, and Virginia Giuffre's testimony about this, maybe you're not telling the truth. So here is Representative Robert Garcia, the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee, talking about this Les Wexner virtual testimony.
It's about $1 billion that was either transferred, provided in stocks or given directly to Mr. Epstein by Wexner. We should be very clear that the two were very close per reporting. They spent a lot of time together. Mr. Wexner admitted that he traveled to both Epstein's island as well as his other properties. Mr. Wexner also admitted that Jeffrey Epstein had access to a lot of Mr. Wexner's wealth. And when asked even simple questions, even as it relates to Mr. Epstein being the co-president of the foundation that established the area that we're in today, Mr. Wexner had little to say. In fact, it's clear that Mr. Wexner is trying to downplay how close Jeffrey Epstein and Mr. Wexner actually were. And we should be very clear that there would be no Epstein Island, there'd be no Epstein plane, there'd be no money to traffic women and girls. Mr. Epstein would not be the wealthy man he was without the support of Les Wexner. I think it's very important for us to note at this moment.
In the 90s, Les Wexner gave Epstein the power of his power of attorney to sign contracts and do business dealings on Les Wexner's behalf.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a farce.
And this thing of he was a con man. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm faithful to my wife. I'll say again, I don't believe him at all. I think I suspect the absolute worst of Wexner's behavior when he went to Epstein. But let's say that's true. Why do we allow people like you to be so rich, Mr. Wexner? Why do we allow this? Why do we lower taxes for this class of people? It's because they're supposed to be so great with allocating capital. And yet, what do we find out that they're doing with it? They're giving it to Jeffrey Epstein. What's Elon Musk doing on his Christmas? He's trying to figure out when the wildest party is. These people are parasites entirely, and they are criminals. Like this behavior that Epstein went for so long, and you found out that he is like a bad guy or whatever, like 10 years or so ago, whatever the story is. Didn't do much to, I mean, I guess you cooperated in 2019. That's supposedly the story, right? Like he
Yeah. After all of that, and then he also claimed that because Epstein's money really came from Wexner, that those millions and millions of dollars were essentially stolen from him by Epstein. And the reason they could be stolen, even if you believe that story, is because you gave this pedophile sex trafficker the power of attorney for you as a billionaire. It's so unbelievable.
Billionaires should not exist because, again, like the best case scenario here is they are lunatics that will turn over power of attorney to a major sex trafficking conspiracy, intelligence operative. That's assuming they don't know it. Assuming what they do with the money when they do know what they're doing with it could be just as malicious.
And they should not exist because having that level of wealth creates a psychosis. It's a chicken or the egg situation, and it doesn't really matter either way. If you are a sociopath, you have to be a sociopath to be a billionaire, or if being a billionaire makes you a sociopath, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, outcome's the same.
You are in such a rarefied situation that your only relationships with people are like your servants, or they're entirely transactional, and everybody has to suck up to you, where you completely lose connection from a shared humanity. And that's why all these billionaires are building their bunkers and fantasizing about going to other planets, is because they are anti-humanity. That is what that level of wealth and power does to you, and it's why you might be raping girls, for example, because you don't have a connection to humanity anymore, given the amount of power that you and money that you've accrued. Now, here's another clip from a Democrat, Representative Ted Lieu. He is kind of imploring the media to look at some of the accusations against Donald Trump that are in these files. Now, these are just allegations and accusations, but they're immensely disturbing. And Ted Lieu is pretty clear here in the severity of the allegations against Trump that are in the files that we know about.
So why are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton is because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage the press to go look at these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially, that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, of the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women now, who were girls at the time, who were victims of sex trafficking. Also, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, moved her to a minimum security prison, and then got a puppy for her. So for all those reasons, he's just got to leave the Department of Justice.
He's just, I mean, that like,
well done.
Both of these are so well done because it is impossible when you have the fact pattern at your disposal to not articulate how incriminating this
is. Like how Obama like became a populist because Mitt Romney just happened to have a car elevator.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And said everyone didn't pay taxes.
And gifted the Democrats that Oppo research with the 47% clip.
But I mean, 2 quick points. The Clintons, I hope they go down and we never have to hear from them again after next week. I would love it if they completely imploded. But it is important to note that the Republicans that are putting all the focus on them are doing so to obscure the implications this has for the like say Donald Trump himself or Lutnick or Elon Musk, right? Like, so there's both things can be true at the same time.
Exactly right. And I do think that point about the girls and how they specifically left their names and identifiers in the files needs to be hammered more, where
it's an attack.
They redacted illegally the name of Les Wexner. And what, Leon Black was another, I believe. The
guy who stepped down from the big shipping company. Yeah, and it should be looked at as an intentional
intimidation tactic. Yes. The point is that they were very intentional in protecting the people illegally with those redactions, the billionaires specifically, that we know about, right? I mean, they're making it so difficult for members of Congress to look through the unredacted files, and they are also monitoring their activity, as we saw in the photo of Pam Bondi's notebook showing Pramila Jayapal's search history through the files.
Yeah, what she looked up.
They're monitoring the people that actually want to get to the bottom of this, the representatives who they're targeting. So they specifically redacted the names of the billionaires, and to scare the victims, intentionally left their identifying information in there, including for victims who hadn't come forward publicly.
It's retaliation and intimidation.
It is one of the... It should not be spoken about as sloppiness. This is maliciousness and a deep, deep darkness that we're only scratching the surface of with the Epstein files here. In a moment, we are going to be speaking to our first guest, Michael Hayden, about his reporting on the far right and neo-Nazi hotbed in Idaho. But first, a word from one of our sponsors. Picture this, it's late at night. You're scrolling through your feeds when all of a sudden you see it, that one product that you have been looking for. You click on the link, add to cart, maybe even shop around a little bit more before finally hitting checkout. as you're filling in your address, you realize you don't have your card anywhere near you. And it's annoying. If you're online shopping in bed, you don't want to get up and find your wallet.
Yeah, I'm trying to like waste time not sleeping.
Exactly right. Well, that's when you see it, the purple pay button that has all of your information saved, making checking out as simple as a simple tap of your screen. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names to brands just getting started. Shopify is used by the Majority Report for our merch store, but I love when I'm online shopping and I see that Shopify is offered at checkout, because I'm like, it's literally that scenario. I'm too lazy to get up. I don't remember my card information. Numbers scramble in my brain. So Shopify makes it incredibly easy. And I can open up the app and track the shipments of what I'm ordering and all of that. It's your one-stop shop for your online shopping experience. But then on our side, as like a small business with a small merch store, Shopify has been phenomenal for us as well. Get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. Accelerate your efficiency, whether you're uploading new products or trying to improve existing ones. Get the word out when you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. Best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. And what if I get stuck? Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 customer support. Tackle all those important tasks in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics and more. No need to save multiple websites or try to figure out which platform is hosting the tool that you need. Everything is all in one place, making your life easier and your business operations smoother. See less carts go abandoned and more sales go ka-ching with Shopify and their Shop Pay button. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/majority. Go to shopify.com/majority, shopify.com/majority. We will put a link down below in the video and episode descriptions, and at majority.fm. Quick break, and we'll be speaking with Michael Hayden. We are back, and we are joined now by Michael Edison Hayden, investigative reporter on far-right extremism, co-host of the Posting Through It podcast, whose piece in Mother Jones focusing on northern Idaho is entitled Who the F Are These Men? I know that you have a book coming out, too, in a few months on this very topic, so everyone be on the lookout for that. Michael, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Emma.
Of course. So your article opens with this incident. Let's pull this up here. We're going to play this clip. You included it in the article. People may remember this. This is from almost a year ago exactly, February 2025, when there was this town hall at this county Republican town hall in Idaho. And this woman was dragged out by this private kind of security force. Let's play a little bit of that footage, and then Michael, I'd love your thoughts on it, and for you to give us some details, because this is the area of Idaho that your article focuses on.
In the meantime, I know we've just got to be a little aggressive with some of these folks here.
I will call the police.
Oh, no, I should be removed. I should be allowed to cry and yell and scream. I should be able to allow to interrupt.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Don't touch her. This is
So how about that? It's too bad that we have some 150-year-old Social Security recipients. We know that government has been mismanaging money for decades, and we want to get up there
Who the fuck
Just
are you?
cooperate, it'll be 100 times better.
Yeah, that's what they say to rape victims, you fucking piece of shit. You refuse to identify yourselves. Who are you? Who are you?
To come here today, and I applaud them for doing so. Thank you for coming. But the problem is this.
So they ended up carrying her out there. We played that incident on the show when it happened. Obviously, with what we've seen with ICE and the terrorizing of communities, it almost, it sheds, I think, a new light or colors it differently, because this was a preview of what was to come on the federal government level. But tell us about that incident and what really happened there.
Yeah, I got to choose my words carefully here, because I don't want to be like, oh, I was about to say I love this video, because obviously it's horrible, right? It's a horrible thing. But what I like about it, I like it in terms of analyzing the current moment that we're in. You got to remember, this is like February 2025, and the symbolism around that is it's just so heavy. First of all, not knowing who is messing with you here, right? Yeah. That had resonance throughout 2025 and into 2026, right? Where it's been this hunt to try to figure out who killed Alex Preddy, who did, right? There's this secrecy coming from the sort of fascist right, to use meaning that colloquially. So that's one part of it. Another thing is that Teresa being an outspoken woman, and like how, yeah, it's horrible what's happening to her, but also her strength in that moment to yell those things, and also the people behind her being her friends, she told them to film it, and that's not on there. It's just a sort of like, film this, they're coming for me kind of thing. And just to be yelling that also, knowing that it would be a moment that everybody would see. She's really brave, I think. And so just in terms of just practicality, that security firm is called Lear Asset Management. And they've since been taken down a peg with just losing a lot of status, as a company. This group called KCRCC, which is sort of just they essentially run the Republican Party in North Idaho. They brought them in. There is a sheriff that they were closely aligned with, and there are a lot of divisions between the sheriff and the Coeur d'Alene Police Department. So Kootenai County Sheriff's Department and the local sheriff's department have issues, and that's largely over this kind of purity spiraling that the right has been doing since Trump's rise, where it's just like, you're not extreme enough, you're not far right enough. Teresa had been known to these bodies that I mentioned because she'd run for office a couple times and lost. I mean, you tend to do that in Idaho if you run as a Democrat. And and she went to the town hall to speak up. Basically, she wanted to have her voice heard in that setting, and she knew they probably wouldn't like it. But what she didn't know was that they would come and try to literally physically rough her up like that. And the fact that they did, I think, shows the difference between the first Trump administration and this one. Just the belief that their authoritarian power could not be moved.
And what ended up happening in that incident? I mean, with this private security company, were there charges that were brought against them for brutalizing her, because they this is just a private security company, and she was exercising her free speech. You heard the speaker there mocking her for protesting, and it seems like that, the Republican Party, the KCRCC, just kind of directed this private security company to get her out.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a series of charges, and also the more important thing I think is the civil case. The civil cases which are still kind of going, and we're gonna find out. I think what happens with her case. The person who is her lawyer is a person. Do you recall? Well, I think this is important context, I think, for everybody. If in 2022. There was a Pride event in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, the same place. And again, a lot of symbolism here as well, which is there were these, I think 31 Patriot Front members who had been put into a U-Haul, and they drove to the park to kind of storm the park and make a big show of things. Thank God, there was no violence. It could have been, it could have seriously turned into violence had they not been arrested, but the police, I believe, had been tipped off, if I recall correctly. And so around that same time, around the call for that, there was a whole bunch of stuff around Pride and people saying, "Oh, there's they're grooming your children," and this sort of thing. That was like a very 2022 line. I mean, it still goes on, but it was very popular around then. And there was a drag performer at that event as well, who's they claimed exposed their genitals to the crowd and to children or whatever else, and that resulted in like a $1 million settlement. And that lawyer is the same person who's representing Teresa in Idaho. So this is a common occurrence where they kind of go past the line of what would be just normal Republican politics, which is already authoritarian, and then make it like far more extreme.
Yeah, I mean, that incident, I remember, and the imagery of that being quite horrifying. These masked Nazis coming out of U-Hauls and going into this Pride event in Idaho was chilling. And you wonder how many of these people in some of these paramilitary right-wing groups ended up just signing up to be ICE agents. Since we don't know their identities, it's probably a pretty good guess, at the very least, that Proud Boys and others ended up signing up to be ICE agents. But I wanted to...
If I may, a comment about that.
Sure.
A comment about that, sure. This is a regular thing that Jared Holt and I talk about on our podcast, posting through it, which is just like, we don't know. We do know that Proud Boy activity is down. We know that Patriot Front is still appearing at events, but they're really less potent, it feels. Their ability to go viral has gone down. And we have all these masked guys showing up in these events. We can't necessarily say that, oh, this guy was a Proud Boy and now he's an ICE agent or something like that. But we can say that some people who might have signed up for the Proud Boys in the previous term, or even during the Biden years, now have a place to go where they can get paid to be Proud Boys. So why wouldn't you do that, right? Like, why wouldn't you do that? And that's why I think everything that's covered in this story, I think is so relevant for the rest of the country. And that's why it's like, I'm glad Mother Jones invested this much time into sort of, teasing out and explaining it, because this is really happening in everybody's neighborhood, where it, to some degree, even if Idaho is more extreme than the rest of the country, this type of thing is reflected in almost every area of the country.
Yeah, we've been speaking on our show about how Zoran Mamdani's leadership in New York is kind of a laboratory for future progressive governance. I've been thinking about that word laboratory a little bit, and when I read your piece, it occurred to me that northern Idaho appears to be a laboratory for far-right politics. You go through many examples of this, and how there have been more moderate efforts in the Republican wing that are being destroyed now by like the insurgent kind of far right that continues to gain popularity there. But it goes back even further. Take us to the 70s as neo-Nazis started to pour into Idaho and what some of that history is.
Yeah. This is, this is a bit, this is a bit beyond probably most of your audience. I mean, I know, I'm sure you have all ages.
Our audience is very, very, well, we have all ages. Oh, you mean age-wise? I was about to suck up to them for being smart enough to know some of this stuff.
Oh, smart enough for sure. I just meant like that, that they didn't live through it and stuff like that. Because I did, I didn't live through most of it. Well, I lived through it. I just didn't know most of it's happening. Yeah, I mean, there was like, Aryan Nations was, a dominant neo-Nazi group that was, really, really big in Idaho during the 80s. And it actually, I used to work at SPLC. They marched down the center of town, for example, in Coeur d'Alene with swastika flags, and they used to show up actually at street corners and things like that with like swastikas, and nobody would really do anything partly because they were so afraid of them. And they were, this is, I want to make very clear that this does not represent all Idahoans. It also doesn't represent all Republicans. But I think it's useful to know for people that this was kind of like just going on and part of the community there. In the same way you would imagine something that, some sort of like vaguely left-wing thing would happen in New York City, as you mentioned. And it wasn't until an incident in which some members of Aryan Nations fired at a woman's car and Center, which is my former employer, they sued them successfully and sort of put them under. And then there was a brief period, a lull, if you will, in which extremism was always there. There was always like far-right people, but people believed it was sort of under control for a while. And it wasn't until the period around the pandemic, maybe a little bit before, but the pandemic was lit a fire for extremists, which I'm sure you know. And that's when it started to really grow. You had a lot of people moving from out of state to Idaho because it's like this potentially a white homeland. And that's really like where the story picks up.
Yep, and you cut out slightly. I just wanted for people to know what you said. Basically, there was a member of the Aryan Nation that fired into a car, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, your former employer, was involved in that case. I hadn't been aware of even the just explicit Aryan Nation leadership moving to Idaho in the 70s, and then you have an associate, Randy Weaver, who you talk about in the piece as well. So this is like multi-decades of kind of maybe slower build up to this being a bit of a neo-Nazi hotbed. But as you mentioned, this starts to pick up in the pandemic, and you talk about a few different people in the piece that some of our audience may be familiar with, including this guy, Martin Sellner. Speak about his case. Yeah.
Martin Sellner. Oh, my God. So Martin Sellner, and you guys can Google him and read his whole history. I don't want to go into all of it, but basically he was, Generation Identity, I believe it's called. It was like this sort of European, Austrian, white nationalist organization. And, he had a sort of superficially handsome face, I guess you would describe, and, made him a sort of a charismatic leader for that, sort of around the same time that Richard Spencer was kind of rising in the United States. Nobody punched Martin Sellner, and there was no like backlash after a Charlottesville. So he kind of, continued on. And with his biggest problem just if I can just quickly interject that he was in these conversations with the Christchurch terrorist.
Yep.
Right. So I just want to put that, like, that was his biggest downfall. And Sellner was in a relationship, an influencer himself, as all these people are. Sellner was in a relationship with Brittany Pettibone, who was a kind of up-and-coming trad influencer of her own. And again, like, superficially pretty enough to get like enough of a following, right, for being an influencer. And the two of them kind of connected, and he wanted to get married to her, and in Idaho. They wanted to do it in Idaho and have a big wedding there, close to her home and everything. And he couldn't because he was on, a kind of like a watch list type thing to get into the United States.
Because he was in conversations with the Christchurch shooter.
Yeah, Christchurch shooter, and also like his whole background would help also inform that too, right? The context of why he was connected to the Christchurch shooter was also informing that. And
exactly.
Yeah, and they the local Republican Party stood up for Brittany Pettibone and said, let her have her wedding here, and tried to make it an issue for them, which seems like a weird thing to do, like an issue to choose to go on a limb for. But here you have something that's connected to the mainstream Republican Party, right, in Idaho, championing Brittany Pettibone, who herself is racist and had trafficked, had done a lot of traffic for the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, and then this guy who is again known to be a white nationalist. That's his whole brand. So I think that like really says a lot. Then there was a series of things that happened after that kind of made it worse, right? There was I go through it in the thing. We mentioned the Patriot Front thing, but we didn't mention, for example, the event against the Utah women's basketball team, in which a guy, yelled extremely racist things, racist and sexist things at a black player for the Utah women's basketball team. And this was a huge scandal and a great embarrassment. I want to just quickly interject for people who don't know that Coeur d'Alene is beautiful. It's a beautiful city. It used to be make all its money from like mining and timber and all that type of thing. And now it really relies on tourism. And this is like a big problem because people get these headlines and they hear these things and they don't want to go there for obvious reasons. You got a lot of gay couples, for example, who live in Seattle or places like that in the surrounding area who might want to vacation there. They don't want to go. And part of it is because of this reputation, and it's the people locally are trying to fight.
But you also are, I mean, the tourism that is being attracted is kind of like these now trad wife right-wing influencers that are drawn to the reputation of neo-Nazis having come out of this area of Idaho. They don't spend as much money as tourists for big cities. That's what I'm saying. They're outnumbered. There's been reporting about other areas of the country where there are efforts to create kind of white-only communities in deep parts of the South as well. This seems a little bit more formalized, though, because this local Republican Party is I'm forgetting the acronym off the top of my head, but
KCRCC.
There you go. Yeah, they are the problem here to me appears to be that this far right faction has completely taken over the local Republican Party. I mean, a Nazi faction.
Yeah. It's bad. I'll just bring up my book, Strange People on the Hill, in April. It's a very similar situation, and the reason why that takes place in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, and there's a reason why these stories are situated there, and that is because Morgan County, West Virginia, is over 90% white, and North Idaho is around 90% white. And they look at the map in the United States and they're like, where can we even go with these things? And what I find so interesting about it, and as myself, it's like I'm mixed. My mother's an Egyptian immigrant. I'm culturally white, but like, I'm a product of the Great Replacement, basically. And I look at it, and what I find so interesting about it are white people in these areas who have voted Republican for a long time, who are forced to draw a line. And there's like so much, for me, there's just so much drama around that, where it's just sort of like, it's like, wait, hold on. I voted for Trump, and I like Trump, and I watch Fox News, but like at some point I need to draw a line, and the tension around that I just find very compelling. And sometimes you hear stories about, from these areas that I find really moving. And then also others that I find really depressing, where it's just, they're willing to go along with white nationalist talking points because they think that is the other people are anti-Trump. And that is the really depressing reality of our country right now.
You also talked with this guy Dave Riley here, who his ideology, it seems like it's pretty aligned with this kind of emerging element on the far right. Fuentes associated, bit of a Catholic supremacist as well, and
so he says.
Yeah, and deeply anti-Semitic as well.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
Talk about his ideology and what your conversation was like with him, who's obviously at Idaho based.
Yeah, Riley is okay. Well, just some quick background on Riley. He's one of the people who came from out of state to kind of be like, this is a place I can kind of move in and do things. And he defines himself as a Catholic for sure. His original brand was around white nationalism. That's kind of the way he would have, I don't know if he would have said that as much, but he was in discords and stuff like that, where they were kind of planning the original Unite the Right rally back in the day. And he sort of reinvented himself as a sort of Catholic nationalist, of the way he describes himself. But he's really centered on the conspiracies around Jewish people. And when I met him in this bar, outdoor bar called Whispers, which, it's like they're playing like, Hearts power ballads out in the lobby, and like it was out on a beautiful deck in this resort in Coeur d'Alene. And he's wearing like a huge crucifix around his neck. Like if it were diamond, you'd think he was you'd think he was like Playboy Cardi or something. He was he's like, everything goes back to Jews, and he is under the belief, this is a place with very few Jews, and he feels like he can really make inroads around that. And on the other side of this is a conflict with a far-right Christian Zionist movement in North Idaho. And I think it's impossible to talk about Riley and his activism without talking about them, because there's a church called Candlelight Church. I was, when I went there, they told me like, they told us to essentially not pray to Samuel Alito, but they put up a big picture of him. Yeah, no, they was like, yeah, no, there's like a big picture of Samuel Alito. It's in the story. You got to like squint, but there's like, it goes by really quickly. I blew it up bigger.
Vergonia.
So they put a picture of Samuel Alito, and they're like, they want to pray for him, and they're like, we forgive him for being Catholic or whatever, but like, we
nice
hope that this man can, do the right thing in his heart or whatever. And they have a huge Israel flag on the side of the stage. I mean, like monster sized. It's not like, oh, we support Israel with like a little thing. It's just like huge flag. And locally, Riley has been at war with the pastor there, this guy named Paul Van Noy. And it is this conflict between sort of philo-Semitic far-right, philo-Semitic far-right church, and like a kind of anti-Semitic activism, in which everything is centered around the problems in your life that you're having right now. The Jews are responsible for that, and for me, it's so tiresome and awful I've heard so much of it, and and there are very few Jews in the area. And if you were Jewish, I would want to leave. Like I would not want to be there.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and it's sad. That's sad. We should not have places in the country where you want to do this. Also, the other thing, he's wearing keffiyeh. He's like, he's really involved himself in like, Palestine stuff, and he tried to relate to me on that because on my mother's side, we do have Palestinians, and it is the clearest example I can think of, actually, where people have taken the conflict that emerged after October 7th and the genocide in Gaza and exploited it really for their own ends, because this activism does not help the cause.
No, it hurts. It's just it almost is. It would be.
Turd in the punch bowl is what Alex Jones calls that
yeah, it would if like the deep state was trying to discredit the pro-Palestine movement, they would elevate guys like this, Nazis wearing keffiyehs. It's really disgusting.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody, around him on his side advocating that North Idaho become a place where we take in a bunch of Arab refugees. Right. I don't see that. Right. It's like, we let everybody die there so we can blame Israel for this, and we can continue to punish the Jews at home. I don't see anybody be like, oh, well, how do we help them? How can I relate to them personally? You don't really see that. So yeah, I mean, this environment is not healthy for anybody who is, a so-called normie. Whether you're, the type of person who voted for Mitt Romney in 2012. I had to think for a second if it was 2012 when Mitt Romney ran. It was a while ago. Yeah. Most of these people did, right? So this is not healthy. It's not healthy psychologically for people. I mean, having covered this material for a long time, it's taken a toll on me. Really, I know how difficult it can be to like kind of live in this world where you're hearing this stuff all the time, and that's what a lot of people are subjected to in Coeur d'Alene and North Idaho and in rural places all around the country where whites are a majority, where Republicans dominate, and there's very little opposition. Trumpism has started to mutate, and that is essentially what this story is about.
On the topic of that mutation, how have the Epstein revelations impacted some of these guys? I mean, I would imagine that for the anti-Semitic white nationalists, they have opinions about Jeffrey Epstein that are pretty anti-Jewish, but also their God King, Donald Trump, is heavily implicated in it, and the cover-up has been so brazen and obvious. Like, has it caused any dissonance in their minds?
That's really funny that you mentioned that, because I was called to speak for a class at Columbia yesterday, and the topic was something else, and then they're like at the last minute, be like, "Do you mind talking about Epstein instead?" Which is just like everybody. It is the dominant. It's the dominant story right now. It really is. And I think broadly what I would say, you can imagine what some of the folks on Riley's side would say about Epstein you don't need to even look it up. You just already know. Right. You've already intimated it in the question. I think what is happening to Trump's base broadly, and I think this is like, just to kind of, stand back a little bit, is that the core, it remains unmoved, but we are seeing like a little bit of, if you ever see like a wound, which is a good way to describe the MAGA base, but like, when it's like it heals over time, you see like the edges, the center is still like tender for a while, right, but the edges start to fade a little bit. That is kind of like what's happening, I think, a little bit. And it's too early to say that MAGA is done or something because of the Epstein things, but I've never seen anything quite as damaging as this. And I think there is sadly a strong anti-Semitic conspiratorial base within the base. Yeah. And Trump's failure to respond. If you recall, he had that There was that Wall Street Journal thing with the drawing, right, and stuff like that. The first reaction to that was just kind of like, oh, people draw anything, or whatever. It was just like,
It's fake. It's fake.
Yeah, la 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 la. I don't hear it.
I think his son went on TV and said that, my
dad doesn't even like to draw.
My dad doesn't even like to draw. He only draws buildings or something like that.
Yeah,
so
but
dumb.
You couldn't shake the suggestion that the drawing the breast was very small, and like it looked, it just didn't look great. And you can't prove anything with that, but it didn't look great. And even though the first response was kind of like, oh, I don't see no evil, hear no evil, I do think it started to penetrate there. And then over time, as it became clear that he really was trying to keep this stuff out, and there's so much of it, I really do think it's impacting people. And the best thing, actually, Steve Bannon. Sorry, did I freeze there for a second?
Yeah, you're back now.
You're back though. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm normal on my side. I don't know what happened.
It was just a quick glitch, but you just said Bannon and Epstein's correspondence.
Yeah, I think Bannon is a really good example of this, because this is a guy who essentially, you could write a version, you could, argue a version of this in which Bannon himself created MAGA, right? Like he's so influential and he's so important, and he's been the driver of so many events over the years, including things like the January 6th stuff and everything like that. And you have people publicly, I mean, Elon Musk, who is in the files himself, kind of blaming Bannon and trying to say, like, trying to scapegoat him. And I think it's a way to distance himself from it, and of course. But you have like regular guys, like in the movie, like calling for Bannon and to be cast aside. And it's bad because people who work with Bannon are being hounded online. You see people like Jack Posobiec, who works for, appears regularly on his War Room show. Like, people in his replies are saying things like, you associate yourself with Steve Bannon, like, we don't want you. So this discord does not seem like something that is easily repaired and put together. That doesn't mean that MAGA isn't still incredibly powerful. I think it very much is. But locally in Idaho, I mean, you're going to feel those type of things over there too. There's a kind of paranoia around these things. Like some people are listening to Nick Fuentes, and Nick Fuentes is telling you, I don't want to vote for that. I don't want to vote for that anymore. No one should vote for this party anymore. That has huge reverberations, because Riley and his ilk, they really look up to Fuentes.
Lastly on this, because we just had an IM, and I'm not sure what Dan the Birdman is referring to, but they said, ask Michael about the Greater Idaho movement. Does that fit into your reporting?
I don't know enough about that to comment. I don't want to say, I don't want to like do the thing where I like pretend to know enough. So I don't know enough about the Greater Idaho movement to
I don't know anything. So fair enough. But Dan the Birdman, maybe that's a topic for another episode. Michael, thank you so much for your time today. You can read this full piece in Mother Jones, and then of course be on the lookout for your book that's coming up in April, you mentioned?
Yeah, April 7th, Strange People on the Hill. And it's about, if you're familiar with Peter Brimlow of VDR, they purchased a castle, a beautiful historic castle that really should be for everyone, should be a public park, in my opinion. And they put it on, it's situated on a hill that overlooks this tiny tourist town. And it's about what happened to the people in the town after that, from 2020 to the end of the 2024 election.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm Michael Edison Hayden, investigative reporter on far-right extremism, co-host of the Posting Through It podcast. You can read the piece in Mother Jones. We'll link to it down below. Appreciate your time today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Emma. I really appreciate it.
Of course. We're going to head into the fun half shortly, but I did want to just quickly cover this because we had a guest that was unfortunately had a travel issue, so had to reschedule, but we were going to be talking about the IDF borrowing ICE technology and learning from ICE. So I wanted to make sure that we're continuing to check in with Israel, our wonderful ally over there. and their continued genocide in Gaza during the ceasefire that is not a ceasefire, their belligerence in Lebanon, their
manipulation of our government toward striking Iran.
Iran, exactly right. As Trump is weighing whether or not he's going to strike Iran again over the weekend. You have in Israel right now this fight in the Knesset because they're considering a series of bills, and one of them is a bill that grants the Israeli government the ability to impose the death penalty on Palestinians. And the Palestinians that would be subjected to the death penalty, and this is for Palestinians in the illegally occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem, because of course Gaza is just an open air extermination camp at this point.
So now they're legislating over occupied territory
that is not legally theirs, but they did just a few days ago approve for the annexation of huge swaths of the West Bank. But they've been East Jerusalem and the West Bank have been illegally occupied since 1967.
Right. The only reason they haven't annexed it really is because one, there's two reasons really. The polite reason that liberal Zionists would point out is that they don't want to go against the international community. The real reason that hasn't happened until now is because they've been a little bit squeamish about taking in so many Palestinians, because that is just the acceptance of apartheid. That's why Amnesty International has belatedly in recent years come out and said, yes, this is apartheid. It's because when you take in, if those are people just you're occupying because it's a security threat, you don't need to count them as your demographics. This entire so-called conflict is actually a demographic control operation by a settler colonial project that wants those people removed. And now it's just going to take them over because who cares? Who cares about democracy? Who cares about one person, one vote? Nobody nobody that supports Israel does, which means the whole Republican Party and a lot of Democrats.
And that what you just said reminded me also of another horror story, which is that Netanyahu himself is trying to assert the authority to revoke the citizenship of the Palestinian citizens of Israel and just send them either to Egypt, send them to Gaza,
right,
send them to the West Bank potentially, because how Israel has been able to maintain the lie that it's a democracy is that they have a small Palestinian minority within the boundaries of Israel, that they are second-class citizens.
Yeah.
But now this is like when we talk about ICE and immigration enforcement here in the United States, and how citizenship is used to tier people's rights and create lower class citizens. And when we talk about the parallels with the Nuremberg laws in the United States, where Jewish citizenship was stripped as a way to remove their rights as a prelude to the Holocaust. This is a tactic to make sure that people have fewer protections. That's what the Netanyahu specifically is trying to push for. But then you have Ben-Gvir, to get back to this story, and his party, I think that it's the Jewish Power Party is what it translates to. He's been pushing for this for years, Ben-Gvir, to advance legislation to allow for the death penalty for Palestinians in the West Bank and in the illegally occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem. But it would make the death sentence mandatory for Palestinians in those two areas if they kill an Israeli, and if it's determined that it's motivated by nationalism, hostility, or political ideology, which Israel would call terrorism, we would call uprisings against this illegal occupation. Now, Israel's not carried out an execution in more than 60 years in their territory, but obviously they're committing genocide, so those are executions.
Right.
But this is almost just like more formalizing their brutality, even more so. So Navarro Media posted this kind of compilation, and I'll read over the captions because it's for the podcast audience. But here is Itamar Ben-Gvir bragging about the torture of Palestinian prisoners as they're trying to advance this bill on the death penalty. Death to terrorists. They need to be executed. We are on the eve of Ramadan, and we're seeing operations in the prison surface behaving against the terrorists, the murderers, the lowlifes, the cursed. This is, explaining how they're showing all this footage of abusing Palestinian detainees. There are no more fairy tales, no canteens, no cigarettes, no education, no visits. There's food, 23 hours in the cell, 1 hour in the yard, 7 minutes for a shower. Pause it just for a sec. This is a guard telling Ben-Gvir about bragging about how they're abusing Palestinian prisoners, and Ben-Gvir says, "Thank God," in response. Keep going. The mattresses are outside the cells, meaning they're not taking any afternoon naps. When you see on the right is a picture of the new Gaza so they'll understand. Now, pause it. This is also what they've been doing is they've been displaying images for the prisoners that they're torturing, Gaza being flattened. That's what he's bragging about there. Here he says they need to be executed by hanging, by lethal injection, or by electric chair. The main thing is to execute them. So these are the images of the prisons, the torture dungeons that Israel has thrown Palestinians into. This compilation we don't need to show anymore.
I mean, this is the government that is, if we strike Iran, why we're moving aircraft carriers because of the threat to this type of way of life. There should be these people, the Israelis, Ben-Gvir, should not have a monopoly of force backed up by the American taxpayer in that region. If they hadn't been given that for the past 75 years at the cost of hundreds of billions of dollars, this wouldn't exist.
And put this image up really quickly. You'll see what's on his collar. That's a gold noose. So really since December, Ben-Gvir and other members of the Israeli right have been wearing golden nooses around, golden noose lapels to indicate their support for the death penalty of Palestinians engaging in resistance. And later in the video, this Novara compilation, by the way, doing great work over there in the UK, Novara Media, shows the footage of the Palestinian prisoner being raped by guards, where they put up their shields, but you can still see the rape happening. And the rapists are now celebrities in Israel. They've unmasked themselves because there's shame. The Israeli population likes it, and they've been going on television and bragging about the fact that they've raped this Palestinian prisoner. So,
let's take them seriously when they talk about sexual assault as justification for continuing to give them bombs. Let's just take that seriously, not question that, and actually smear the people as anti-Semitic who question that propaganda narrative that subscribed to by, I mean, who were some of the leading lights, the CEO type people? I forget what her name is. I won't see some more documentaries about propaganda for Israel.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that wasn't fun half material, so wanted to make sure that we got that in the free part of the show.
Yeah, and this too, From the River to the Sea.
Exactly. Matt, what is happening on Left Reckoning and with the Jacobin Show?
Tomorrow, new Jacobin Show, Cornell West talking with David Griscom. Cornell was very nice in the conversation, very excited about David's upcoming Texas book. So I'm excited to share that with everybody. Go subscribe to Jacobin Mag YouTube channel and make sure you get our Jacobin Show.
Do we have Brandon and Binder? We got Brandon. I will do my little plug. For those who haven't yet, if you're in the LA area, tickets to the Bituation Room Live with myself, Francesca Fiorentini, and special guests to come Our the link is down below in the description. You can come see us at Dynasty Typewriter on March, what is it? 22nd. I can't remember this for the life of me for some reason. And March 22nd in the afternoon, we're going to be in LA, the Bituation Room Live. It's going to be really, really fun. Dynasty Typewriter. Check us out, folks. And we have Brandon and Matt Binder coming soon. Whoa.
Hey guys.
To a theater near you.
To a theater near you. What's up? How you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. And I will say just at the top of the show, next week is my birthday. And so I'm in an especially good mood because, not only is it Pisces season, but another famous Pisces had a big birthday today. And that's former Prince Andrew. Happy
birthday! Surprise!
He was arrested on his birthday. That's awesome.
I love it.
Happy birthday, bozo!
probably saved some. The type of things he does on his birthday. I imagine he probably avoided some crimes.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Nothing to add to the ledger. He may not be able to sweat, but he's going to be sweating in prison. I feel like that royal.
Well, he can sweat now. It's a miracle.
Right. God, that guy's hands are probably softer than like a 5-year-old child. He's never done anything hard work in his life, and facing prison. Kind of love to see it. But
what kind of prison that would they even throw a royal in?
I don't know.
Whoa.
Put him in the tower. Put him in the tower.
Yes.
Put his head on the bridge.
Yeah, I've been saying they need to put him in one of those iron masks that they, used to do for like Elon and Griffith from Berserk. That being said, apparently he could get life. He could get life for this misconduct charge.
That's unbelievable.
But I'm saying, like, the Tower of London, I feel like has fallen out of like the cachet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't really talk about it anymore. What better way to sort of juice that as another tourism spot than have him shackled there so people can pass him on the way to like get like concessions or something?
Well, this is a serious crime. So they're talking about like sentencing him to like, wander the lawless wastelands of Florida. The ultimate crime for the ultimate crime. You just have to live in You just have to live in like Tampa Bay or something.
I just love the idea that this is like a old-timey freak show carnival when you go to the Tower of London. Step right up and see shackled Prince Andrew, the pedophile.
They should just make him a cashier at Tesco. That would make him more miserable than anything on earth.
That's true.
Actually, streamer, it's pronounced pedophile over there.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That being said, though, honestly, I think if he's in jail, regardless of whether or not it's for misconduct or not, if he's in jail and might be questioned for Epstein, he better really watch out. He better hope he's on display. Makes it harder for accidents. Makes it harder for accidents to happen.
That might protect him, making him a tourist destination.
With all things said, though, at least they're doing something about it over there, right?
I know.
It's almost weird to see.
It's crazy. Anyway, we'll talk about this all more and more in the fun half. Matt Binder, what's happening with you?
YouTube.com/Matt Binder tonight, 8:30 p.m. Leftist Mafia.
All right. Brandon, what's happening on the discourse?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to do a lot of fun stuff over the next week because I'm the kind of person who celebrates my birthday over multiple days. So you'll just have to tune in over on YouTube and Twitch at The Discourse with Brandon. I will say we are on the road to 20K. And so if you want to be one of the first 20K people to be a Discourse member so that in a few weeks from now, when we're at 2 million, you can tell all your friends like, yeah, I was an early adopter. He's not cool anymore. He used to be a lot smarter. He used to say a lot more slurs before he got popular. Like you have only a few more days to get up in Atom. So yeah, no, definitely check it out. People are loving it. There's a new Alex Jones clip that I put up right before we got on here.
Well, I saw you were on Crystal Kyle and Friends. That was pretty fun. Now, good advertising for the discourse.
Yes, it is absolutely. Like I said, I'm always willing to go places when I'm invited, and I loved to be the friend between Crystal and Kyle. It was a very engaging conversation, and definitely check it out over there. And I'm gonna post it too. And I know my tone of voice can be a little wry and dry, but I'm serious. I thought it was really, great.
I thought it was really great, and once again, you're always making points that I never thought to think of or make me see something differently. So I'm giving you a compliment. Okay.
It's my birthday. I deserve them.
Yeah. Too much emotional exposure. Okay. We're gonna head into the fun half. Maybe we will try to take some calls today because we haven't all week. So we will call into the phones. See you in the fun half.
Okay, Emma, please.
Well, I feel that my voice is sorely lacking on the majority report.
Wait, look, Sam is unpopular.
I do deserve a vacation at Disney World. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome Emma to the show.
It is Thursday.
I think you need to take over for Sam.
Yes, please.
No. I'm gonna pause you right there.
Wait, what?
You can't encourage Emma to live like this. And I'll tell you why. So was offered to tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. So was offered to tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
What?
Tour, sushi, and poker.
Tim's upset.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. So was offered to tour, sushi, and
that's what we call the biz.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
Right.
Tour, sushi, and poker.
We're gonna get demonetized.
I just think that what you did to Tim Pool was mean.
Free speech.
That's not what we're about here. Look at how sad he's become now. You shouldn't even talk about it. I think you're responsible.
I probably am in a certain way, but let's get to the meltdown here.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
Oh my God.
Tour,
wow.
Sushi.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my fucking mind.
So was offered a tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
Logic.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. Boy. Tour.
I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a kid.
Tour.
I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a little kid.
Had this debate 7,000 times.
A little kid. I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a kid.
Tour. I'm losing my fucking mind.
Some people just don't understand.
So I'm not trying to be a dick right now, but like, I absolutely think the U.S. should be providing me with a wife and kids.
That's not what we're talking about here. Okay, all right.
It's not a fun job.
Tour.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing.
Willy Wonka tour.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing.
What's that offered a tour?
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing.
That's a tour.
A real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing.
What's that offered a tour?
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan has done it again.
That offered a tour.
That's a real thing. That's a
poker with the boys.
I think he might be blowing it out of proportion.
real thing.
That's poker with the boys. That offered a tour.
That's a real thing. That's
poker.
Let's go, Joey.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
Take it easy, Tim.
Tour, sushi, and poker.
Things have really gotten out of hand.
Sushi and poker with the boys.
Delusional.
Tour,
Deluded.
sushi.
You don't have a clue as to what's going on. Live YouTube.
Sam has like the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Poggers.
Sam doesn't want to do this show anymore. It was so much easier when the majority report was just you. You were happy.
Let's change the subject.
Rangers and Knicks are doing great.
Now shut up. You don't want people saying reckless things on your program.
That's
Now,
one of the most difficult parts about this show.
this is a pro-killing podcast.
I'm thinking maybe it's time we bury the hatchet.
Left is best. Trump Violet.
Tour,
Don't be foolish and don't fucking tweet at me and don't bitch. The way Emma has cucked all of these people, love it.
That's where my heart is. So I wrote my honors thesis about it.
Oh,
Sorry.
she wrote an honest thesis. I guess I should hand the main mic to you now.
You are to the right of me on foreign policy.
We already fund Israel, dude. Are you against that?
That's a tougher question I have an answer to.
Incredible theme song.
Hi, Bumbler.
Emma Vigeland, absolutely one of my favorite people. Actually, not just in the game, like period.
We are back, folks. It is the fun half of the majority report where we shall have fun. We'll read some IMs before we get to some clips. We'll open up the phone lines shortly. Sent with lasers. How much damage do you think Art Bell did to our collective sanity? I used to love late night drives on tours in the 90s just to listen to the craziest stuff about aliens and that place in Alaska that was supposed to control the weather, but maybe it wasn't just silly fun.
I had silly fun with it, and I never took it seriously, and it got me through so many late night drives.
Yeah.
I love Art Bell.
And George Norrie, yeah, that was very formative for me as well. Those sort of late night, a guy calls in saying, "Yeah, I saw some crazy stuff on an Air Force base." It's the problem is it's been sort of weaponized.
I mean, yeah, no, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's all I was gonna say.
I was gonna say I find less stuff wrong with that and more stuff wrong with the supposedly critical media that is like incredibly credulous, and I feel like that's had more of an impact on eroding people's like ability to tell fact from fiction. Like when you have a politician go on television and tell an obvious lie, but because like there's lack of perfect knowledge of that lie or because it's in service of US empire, people just go like, well, I guess if I can't prove it, it must make sense and it must be true. I think stuff like that has ultimately created like a feedback system with like, you know, fact and fiction becoming indistinguishable for most people.
Yeah, right, exactly. Left-wing Limbaugh. Old England used to put criminals in cages outside of towns and leave them there until they died of exposure.
Yeah, they have the model.
I don't know if prison abolitionists would love the way that you're going here, Matt, but
well, good thing I'm not.
Good thing you're not. Yeah.
I mean, so the thing is, like, you know, I am against punitive and cruel punishment, but I don't like to judge other cultures for how they choose to execute
You're
justice.
right. You're right.
And, you know, especially when I'm a visitor in their land, which I would definitely be if they forced his head into like a little cage and made him like walk from like the tip of England to the top of like Scotland while people threw stuff at him like Cersei in Game of Thrones.
No, he has
So,
to
like,
Forrest Gump it, or it's that Stephen King novel that they just made into a movie, The Long Walk, and if you stop, you get shot.
Yeah, I wouldn't support it. I would like watch it and I would be like disgusted. I would just like frown and shake my head and like, what has
Is
the
that
world
just the
come
movie
to?
Speed with walking?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. I
Stephen
wonder
King's a
if
genius.
Stephen King wrote it around that time and saw Speed and then wrote that book.
What if?
I mean, but you can't hate on the guy's output. I mean, the number of books that he has written, it's just amazing.
The quantity you can't take issue with.
No.
He's a good Little League coach, too.
I sound like his publisher.
I'm more of an R.L. Stein guy. You know, R.L. Stein makes, you know, Stephen King look like a freshman suffering from procrastination in terms of like output.
R.L. Stein's still alive too.
Really? I
Sure
mean,
is.
A lot about R.L. Stein.
how many Goosebumps books are there?
Well, let's not get into this conversation because I'm gonna reveal myself. I'm gonna
Bring
reveal
out Fear
myself
Street
as a
then,
real
too?
big fan. Yeah, the Nightmare Room, the TV shows, the trilogies.
So apparently,
the
the original
Slappy.
series has 62 books.
I know.
Counting all the spin-offs and special editions, the entirety is over 200.
I definitely read a good chunk of the original ones.
I read like 20 or 30, I feel like. I loved them.
I was in the Book of the Month Club, and so I've read all of them, and I can recall almost all of them.
I think
I'm
I
not
owned
surprised.
like pretty much all of them. I'm looking at ones I don't know if I've seen.
I
Yeah,
recognize all of those.
holy crap!
The
I
quality
don't recall
is
any of them.
the quality is
recognize-
mixed for sure.
Yeah. I recognize this stuff like Cotton Mather recognized the Bible.
Scientists remain. We need an alternative opening theme for MR when Emma Vigeland is badly dubbed over every Sam Seder. We probably should get Benjamin in here to just record. It would take 10 seconds.
Yeah, just have him do Emma Vigeland.
Yeah, it's all that needs to happen. Roger from Ohio. Wexner was a little gay-seeming dress store owner in the 60s and then the richest man in Ohio in the 90s. Illuminati kids, I appreciate the guest mentioning that not all Idahoans are white supremacists. I know one, and they're a great person. They assure me the other 3 across the state are awesome as well. Tucker's bed demon. There's no doubt that Stephen Miller has explicitly modeled ICE after the SA, aka the brown shirts, who were the critical component of building early Nazi power via street violence terror. The SA ranks were filled with members of pre-Nazi right-wing World War I veterans militias. These historical militias quickly disappeared at the beginning of the Third Reich as they were absorbed into the Nazi machine. To pretend this is not exactly what is happening now is to continue to ignore obvious historical precedent.
Yeah, we just need to reform them.
I don't think anyone's ignoring that that's happening. It's just that we don't have confirmation. And once we have confirmation, we'll report it. But we'll say as...
You mean as in like specific...
Names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just giving that caveat that I don't know for sure, but it seems quite obvious that that's the case. No Sleep Till says that golden noose on the lapel looks like their yellow ribbon. That's exactly, I'm sure, what they were trying to evoke, and honestly quite symbolic of Israel. The Millrind. Matt, how about the pair of anguish as punishment for Andrew?
I'd have to look that up.
I don't know what that is.
With the pair of anguish, but it's I can imagine.
It's the most British sounding thing I've ever heard.
I imagine it's not like something you eat.
Cole from Little Rock, Goosebumps were good, but I raise you Animorphs, not the same genre, just a fantastic series. I have them all. I'm 36. I liked Animorphs too, but Goosebumps is better than Animorphs.
Animorphs is super like violent too. Animorphs is like hella violent, and the story is pretty good.
Yeah, no, but like I mean, it was the same story though every time. Like this teenager becomes a bird, this teenager becomes a lion.
I don't know if I read one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you remember Animorphs clearly enough, because there was like a whole war going on. There was like child soldiers, like trauma, like a kid, I mean,
I guess I don't remember it well enough. I think I lost interest after the first few, but we should probably move on to different topics. Okay,
I don't mean to attack you over Animorphs.
No.
Yeah, watch your step, Emma.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll go through this maybe just 10, 11, 12, maybe 13.
Checking how the leader of the free world is doing.
Right. So the president of the United States, Donald Trump, held his Board of Peace meeting, which is just a bunch of people paying to play to pave over the skulls of Palestinian children and build casinos. And these are people that want to get in with Donald Trump. As I headlined, Claudia Sheinbaum, who I wish was our president, has declined the invitation to the Board of Peace because Palestine is not included. This is about a bunch of Western governments deciding the future of Palestine and Gaza without their input. And it's about real estate development. Kushner's involved. It's bleak, corrupt, all of that. And putting that aside, though, or maybe not putting that aside, because Trump's insanity is relevant to this whole situation, Trump decided to speak at this event, of course, and he addressed the nation with a few important messages. 1, I'm not gay. 2, I grabbed my wife's ass at the UN. And then after that, I guess he falls asleep. Yeah. We'll take these in order.
President Pena of Paraguay is here. President, thank you very much. Young, handsome guy. It's always nice to be young and handsome. Doesn't mean we have to like you. I don't like young, handsome men. Women, I like. Men know how to have any interest. Good. That's right. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job, too.
You're a smoke show. Not that I would notice. And you're doing a great job.
I kind of resent it, actually.
Also, bro, you don't like women. Rapists don't like women. You will have sex with women, sometimes consensually, sometimes not. But no rapists actually like women. They actually are kind of definitionally pretty violent towards them. But sure, you like women. I mean, here he proves it by saying that, the terrorist attack at the UN when the escalator stopped working was so horrifying that he just had to grab Melania's ass. He is losing his mind. Here we go.
First, I had an escalator that stopped. You know that. It's going up. Boom. It's lucky my movie star first lady was in front of me because I put my hand on a certain part of her body, and I was able to stop my fall. Otherwise, because she had no trouble. I said, boy, that was a very sharp stop, Johnny. So I said, that was strange. I've been on a lot of escalators. It's never happened before. Usually it stops very slowly. This was just boom. But our First Lady was right in the proper location for me. First I had to...
Where's him falling asleep? Do we have that? No, 14.
Very weird. Very weird.
Yeah. I mean,
You don't want to hear some more leering about young women?
yeah, I guess I didn't see this one yet.
Yeah, yeah, Daddy's got Grandpa's got something on his mind right now.
I mean,
Young man,
What
my
hap-
wife's ass.
what was he looking at
Gross.
before the Board of Peace thing? Because he's coming in super horny. Not that I want to think about this.
Cardi B.
Yeah.
Oh, he also was
Nicki
talking about
Minaj.
how hot Nicki Minaj was.
That's right. We don't even have
My
that.
bad. Yeah.
The people that were at the event in Munich, they didn't graduate quickly from college. They had everything they could do. There was one young, attractive woman. She was unable to answer questions. And she didn't do so well like JD did in college. JD graduated in a 4.5-year college in 2 years. The people...
What?
AOC, young attractive woman.
How fast did she graduate college, though?
So I guess he got horny and excited, and that's a lot for him at this age.
You know what it is?
so-
It's the real estate deal of Gaza.
That's it.
Got it horny.
Oh, it's
yeah.
right.
That's what gets him going.
Right, right. It's
conditioned.
It's Pavlovian. He's thinking about tall buildings.
We're erecting buildings.
Erect.
Yeah.
Some great erections going up in Gaza.
He's an absolute demon.
But it takes a lot out of him to be that publicly horny. Here he and not gay, definitely. Here he is at the Board of Peace.
دولة الكويت الثابت بدعم كل مسعى يهدف إلى رفع المعاناة عن الشعب الفلسطيني الشقيق وتحقيق الأمن والاستقرار في غزة والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Thank you. The Minister of...
I'm up.
And to be fair, he was probably just closing his eyes because he was deep in thought, analyzing everything that gentleman said.
My grandpa literally used to say that when he fell asleep in church, and my grandma would stamp the floor next to him saying, Joe, wake up. Like, I'm concentrating on the homily.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the unsophisticated and obviously biased eyes of the left. Everyone knows that Donald Trump has like daredevil powers. And so when he closes his eyes, like he sometimes sees better. He's able to see the room better. And so that was just him like highly focusing his rest of his senses on like everything. A threat assessment, if you would, like 3D vision, like a bat.
Yes, and he closes his eyes because they're completely white at this point because he's entered into the Palantir cloud realm where he's able to see the whole world and both the past and the present together.
Yeah.
I mean, he is all powerful in that way, I guess.
You can't keep your two eyes open when your third eye's open. That's a common misconception because it distracts you.
We should also mention the description of Melania as a movie star. A little confusing. You might not understand why he said that because you weren't a part of the millions and millions of people that came out to see Melania in theaters a few weeks ago. And by millions, I mean dozens. And that's what he's referring to. And it just occurred to me the other day, like, this obsession with the documentary that needed to happen, that was a gift from Bezos and Amazon to Trump, a tribute, of course. But, like, from what's motivating Trump and Melania kind of emotionally about this is it's, once again, the obsession with the Obamas. Because of that, I would never watch Becoming, the Netflix documentary about Michelle Obama, but I guess that was popular or a big deal, part of the Obama's deals with, lucrative deals with Netflix. So it's just about that once again. Like, you're better than Michelle, Melania. We're better than the black family. He can't get them out of his head.
There's something sociopathic about, like, remember when Melania was just ripping off, was it?
And she ripped off Michelle Obama's speeches. That's the other thing. They have a individualized I'm not sure Melania was even conscious of what was going into it, but like at the very least the Trump apparatus and Trump himself
Oh,
They
yeah.
are obsessed with the Obamas.
Trump has been obsessed with Obama since the birtherism of the 2008, the 2008 campaign. And in many ways, that was like his spiral down in the public. Like it kind of cost him his NBC show on The Apprentice. Obama made fun of him at that correspondence dinner. And he just really never got over it. I remember when he sent that private investigator down to Hawaii that found stuff and cost him millions of dollars. Like he was really like spiraling at that time publicly.
Yes, the birtherism is Donald Trump, and then Trump and birtherism became the Republican Party. That's how it went. And all of that nativism and conspiracism, you can draw it to that. And but like this is the story with Donald Trump, you can't leave out the complicity of certain Democrats. And I would like to just remind people that Hillary Clinton, during the 2008 primary, ran a really, really racist and nativist campaign against Obama. It was more done through like leaking things to the media, including leaking him in that traditional Somali garb when he was visiting, I believe it was Somalia, because he had a turban on. So it was a dog whistle about his middle name being Hussein and him being a black man. And then darkening his skin in ads. And she would be evasive when asked questions about his citizenship by the press to kind of create that doubt. And so without that, I don't know if the ground would be as fertile for Trump's overtly racist nativism and conspiracism about Obama and his place of birth.
Oh, yeah, no, great point.
He's also Trump is also a little jealous of Melania too, because he said at this board of peace meeting that there can only be one star in a couple. I've always said that, and I don't know what we're gonna do about this.
I don't think he has to worry. Truly, I mean,
she's just so charismatic. She might do it.
Peacemaker Intifada.
Have you seen Melania yet? Because I still have not found myself able to watch it.
No.
Mentally or practically.
But I did hear, we were wondering where those tens of millions of dollars went in this slush fund, because it was so clearly cheap to make. And even in the trailer, she was indecipherable in terms of the audio. And apparently there's a lot of music in it. Like her favorite artist is apparently Michael Jackson. They have a Michael Jackson song in the movie. They have a Rolling Stones song. They have "Gimme Shelter." I heard in it, which also includes the lyrics "Rape, murder, it's just a shadow away." So I don't know if perhaps the rapist in office might have wanted to think about the irony of those,
or the rapist director.
Yeah, that maybe they think that it's a pro rapist song because conservatives can't understand art.
I thought it was weird when I was reading through the soundtrack and I saw that like Kid Rock song from Osmosis Jones on there, but now I realize it was probably just part of a money laundering.
So they spent a ton on music for this movie, probably because it was like, maybe it's another Obama thing, Melania's playlist.
For people who don't know what Brandon is referring to, here's the clip of the song "Cool Daddy Cool" by Kid Rock
from Osmosis.
Young ladies, I like them underage. See, some say that's statutory, but I say it's mandatory.
Oh, some say it's statutory. I say it's mandatory.
And it's in Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, I just discovered this through the TPUSA halftime show. I had no idea that song was on Osmosis Jones.
Yeah, I don't get how that happened. Because the song was actually like, if I recall, that song was also like, it's not like one of Kid Rock's songs that was put on the Osmosis Jones album. From my understanding, he wrote that song specifically for the
joint.
Got in the lab. It's like, I'm making a kids movie. Well, what am I thinking about right now?
Holy moly! I didn't put that together. Wow.
No, it was an artistic choice. I mean, sometimes you stake out these positions when you're making movies that like you look back on and you don't you regret the decision, but you don't regret staking them out, right? Well, I don't know how he feels about it, but I imagine it's something like that.
Staking a position out or staking out a high school.
Yeah.
Could be either
if you're
one.
allowed that close.
All right, let's open up the phones here. 646-257-3920. Future Reactionary. Wasn't Osmosis Jones an animated feature?
Yes.
Apparently. Go ahead.
Who's doing the voice for Osmosis Jones?
Chris Rock.
Was it Chris Rock?
Chris Rock, I think.
Yeah, Chris Rock.
How did statutory rape fit into the plot of Osmosis?
Eric from Montana. One battle after another is about PTA's feelings about Obama and Trump. Lockjaw is a representation of Trump. Perfidia represents Obama. Lockjaw is strangely obsessed with the false revolutionary. Do not agree with your take at all.
I don't think that Perfidia is supposed to be Barack Obama.
Perfidia is based on Asada Shakur. At least that's what Teyana Taylor said her representation was.
And also, the character existed from a book written in the 80s. Now, the Sada thing could be true because the race was and ethnicity was switched from, I believe it was just a white woman in the book. But yeah, I don't think it was meant to be Barack Obama. Maybe like it's
Perfidia's like blowing shit up.
Yeah,
She's
Obama's
a revolutionary.
not that
yeah.
at all.
No.
Also, Lockjaw is nothing like Trump.
No.
I mean, even from the haircut to
Lockjaw's Bovino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's too squared away. Trump's a big sweaty slob with long hair.
We're sorry. We don't love your take, but appreciate you.
I still haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
Yes,
I thought it was great.
I loved it. Yeah. Cast Iron Jake. He has the same look Biden did when they dose him up with an elephant's worth of stims. Biden, my time. You will all be shocked to learn that Trump was lying about grabbing Melania's ass during the infamous escalator incident. It's on video. Super weird thing to lie about. He has no idea where the hell he is. Feels like. Kyle Leck. Here's an idea. Penal colony for the Epstein list, folks. I heard there's a place in the U.S. Virgin Islands that no one wants anymore. A lot of them are already familiar with the particular island. That is too beautiful of a place for them to be going. Even if it's creepy and no one wants to, I mean...
It's been bought, though.
Ugh. Probably by a very normal person.
I'm sure.
Eli from Jersey. A kid got turned into a bird forever, and he had to be like, can't go back to my family. I'm a bird. I think I remember that from Animorphs.
That's what the Nelly Furtado song is based on, and people don't remember that either.
That's what Animorphs. I always felt like the cover sort of explained what's going on in the book enough for me to not watch it.
See, again, that's a surface level reading. The cover, a person turning into a deer doesn't explain to you about like the alien war at hand.
Okay, sorry. I guess Matt's not being charitable enough. Let's take a call here. Calling from a 773 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Is this me?
This is you.
Hey there. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I just wanted to give a big
Who's
shout
this?
out
Where
to
you calling
Brandon
from?
Oh, my bad.
That's okay.
My name is Drew. I'm calling from Chicago.
Drew from Chicago.
I wanted to give a big shout out to Brandon for being the only other human I've ever heard mention the Nightmare Room. Fantastic series from R.L. Stine. It was also made into a show that scared the shit out of me. So that's all. Thank you, Brandon. Keep doing what you're doing. I love your streams. And I love you too, Majority Report. Appreciate y'all.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, is that all you want to say? You just wanted to shout out Brandon's incredibly niche taste?
That's pretty much it.
All right.
I my heart's in the right place, but I'm kind of dumb. So if I talk anymore, I'm gonna embarrass myself. So
I get that, brother.
Yeah, love the call, brother. Nice to see you. Nice to hear from you. Nightmare Room is on Tubi right now. If you want to watch it, I can't say it holds up, but you at least get to see a few episodes with like Amanda Bynes and Topanga from.
Amanda Bynes is in it?
Yeah, it has a very. Yeah. Also, what's her face? Allison Mack from Smallville and the kid.
The
who plays
Nixium
Pete
cult
from Smallville.
member.
Yeah, Chloe from Smallville.
Cool. All right.
Sick.
All right. See you later.
Have a nice day.
I just want a trauma behind the show.
Yeah. Right. Jeez.
It's
Will
like
from
Animorphs.
Minnesota. Animorphs is a better series, and the author K.A. Applegate is a trans ally. All right. Well, we don't know if R.L. Stein is a trans
I don't
ally.
think it's fair to judge the content of the books based on just
as opposed to R.L. Stein.
Judge the books.
Let me
based
do a
on
quick Google.
Daniel from Virginia, a big MAGA donor, bought Little St. James. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Stephen Deckoff. He's going to turn into a resort.
Oh yeah, and then didn't somebody a Bannon associate buy the New Mexico thing too?
Yep.
To turn it into, I believe, a Christian. I'm sure, like, it's not going to be sort of destroying evidence.
Sure.
Operation. I'm sure it's just about giving Christian kids a place to go in the summer.
Yeah. Little billionaire named Jeffrey Epstein bought the island.
Why would you make the project kid related?
They can't help it. They can't help but laugh at you. It's like why all of the Jeffrey Epstein like co-conspirators. Well, you hope it's why all of Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirators all had charities that had to do with kids. Like when they found that Sarah Ferguson was implicated, she had to step down from like five children charities. Like they very suspicious. You hope it's just that they're laughing at you because that's like the innocent explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And the appearance of impropriety on such like this you can't just assume that it isn't worse than what
Right. Frater, one battle after another was actually an allegory for the Bible, and all the characters are Jesus.
Jesus watching the battle for Algiers.
Appalachian leftist. Y'all should have on Liam from Well, There's Your Problem on to yell about Kid Rock and other chuds who've ruined the country. Ruined country music. Toby Keith as well. Katie, I would also like to shout out Brandon. Thank you for enlightening us about various types of aliens.
I would say Kid Rock did more damage to hip hop than country.
They can't help but want to rap. I don't know. Like it's like all music reverts to rap at the end of the day. Like even when the Kid Rock tries to get up there and celebrate like whiteness, he just ends up doing like a rap rock song.
Because he can't sing.
And the other guy too, I can't remember what his name is, but like they all sort of do like country rap now.
Right.
It's so funny. Like
yes.
And you have like the white nationalist guy being like, the Bad Bunny Super Bowl is erasing white culture. Yeah, so is the Kid Rock one.
so it's Forgiato Blow. So it was like Tom McDonald. Like whatever happened. Like whatever happened to white pride.
Well, it's because they secretly like want to be a part. Like they secretly know what's good and what's bad, or like what people are interested in the culture, and they want a piece of it. But their like grievance politics overtake it.
Just bring out the accordion and play some polka.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's take another call really quickly. Calling from a 210 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Oh, is this me?
This is you.
Oh, awesome. First time, long time. So I'm Eric from Chattanooga.
Eric from Chattanooga.
I remember hearing about kind of the Chattanooga Volkswagen plant, hearing on your show talking about kind of their votes to unionize, and there had been kind of ongoing back and forth talks for a long time. And it seems like they finally met an agreement, so I think that's kind of a fun update.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on Left Reckoning maybe a week or two ago. It's an effort to unionize those plants that goes back to the second term of Obama. And it's kind of depressing, but I guess ultimately like it's gotten to a good place. But to hear those people being like, we're ready to do this in 2013. And how long it took Volkswagen to settle up with them and recognize the union. It should have been done a lot sooner, but it's great work that it happened now.
Yeah, and just another thing on there too. So I work around the facility. I can kind of see what it's like at the plant. And around the time in October, it was kind of funny seeing that they were posting signs saying this is our last and final offer, and clearly that was not the case.
Right.
And even more kind of sinister on that is that around that same time too, when they were trying to pressure them as their last and final offer, I would all of a sudden start getting a lot of social media ads where from clearly like fake AstroTurf kind of grassroots things usually name some bullshit like Tennesseans for economic freedom or something, and basically just talking about why unionizing is bad and why the UAW is a bad idea. Again, I'm sure it's not a coincidence at all that they probably see that my location sometimes goes in that area. So,
Exactly. Well, appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
yeah, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye. We'll take some more calls in just a sec, but let's do a clip or two here. Well, I mean, maybe we just do something separate with this Vance thing, really quickly. So, JD Vance also appeared at the, oh, no, this is him talking. Never mind. Scratch that. Yeah. Sorry. JD Vance spoke at the Board of Peace event earlier today, and he tried to make a joke about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in Munich. And you know, I think we should just point out that there's going to be good faith arguments about some of the stuff that AOC said in Munich. I've been open about my feelings about how picking her apart to a degree and this impulse to do so has a lot of misogynistic undertones. But there are good faith arguments to be had about what she said, and you can have disagreements. I think the fact that she got on a national or international platform and spoke about billionaires being a national security threat, about how fighting fascism and authoritarianism involves uplifting the working class and addressing their needs. And
saying in Germany what happened in Gaza is a genocide.
Repeatedly saying the G word in Germany, which I think made a lot of people really uncomfortable and might be a big part of why there's this huge campaign to call her appearance this disaster that I just do not think it was. I actually think it was quite successful, and that's why we're getting this coverage. But there are good faith conversations to be had if we have for people to have disagreements about what she said. I have a very low expectations for what any member of the United States federal government is going to be saying about our foreign policy. It's not going to be how we speak about Israel or our foreign policy or anti-imperialism. It's not the role that a politician that is a member of the U.S. government serves. So I'm just putting that aside for a second. The people that are engaging in the mockery and the word salad and she's so stupid, all that's what I'm talking about. And those people are just doing right-wing narratives for them, because it's the obsession about this with her is on the right. When you look at Fox News, they're replaying that Taiwan answer where she stumbled a little bit over and over and over again. And none of the stuff that I just said, the really clear-eyed view about working class politics, taxing billionaires, and that being tied to national security, they're only playing that one answer. And so they're trying to call her stupid. This is a whole part of the attempt to discredit her and the politics that she represents. But what's nice to see is JD Vance tried to land this joke here about her. Doesn't work.
Thank you, Mr. President, very much for your leadership, but also for the kind words about me personally. I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but then after the president said that I was so smart and that I didn't want to repeat our congresswoman who froze for 20 seconds over in Munich, now I'm tempted, sir, just to freeze for 20 seconds and just stare at the cameras, and maybe they'll say nice things about me like they do about Congresswoman Cortez. But I have three very brief messages. Thank you, Mr. President, very much.
It's almost impossible to discern if that was a joke. It was a joke because you hear the text of it.
Because of the way he said "but," where there was supposed to be laughter, which is a classic bomb move.
It was, but
right.
But can we watch it one more time? Because he gets self-conscious when he doesn't immediately hear laughter and then rushes through it.
Thank you, Mr. President, very much for your leadership, but also for the kind words about me personally. I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but then after the president said that I was so smart and that I didn't want to repeat our congresswoman who froze for 20 seconds over in Munich, now I'm tempted, sir, just to freeze for 20 seconds and just stare at the cameras, and maybe they'll say nice things about me like they do about Congresswoman Cortez. But I have three very brief. Thank you, Mr.
Oh boy, that's
good delivery.
It doesn't even
though.
work
I think
in
we can
that
all
room.
say
Go ahead.
it's a language barrier thing, probably. A lot of people in the Trump's new Legion of Doom are like non-native English speakers, so you kind of have to. A lot of things get lost in the dubbing and the translation. Probably, they didn't get it.
This whole thing about the Taiwan answer specifically has been so ludicrous to me because none of the problem with the Taiwan China thing is that verbally it is a issue that's incoherent. China and Taiwan both have a one policy, one China policy, where both countries think they're the one China. And the solution or the practical sort of way around that has been to encourage these borders to be less hardened, to sort of move away from the nationalism on both sides and have international relations. And there is plenty of commerce and exchange between Taiwan and China as it stands. That should be encouraged. This world that we are leading towards with our support for Israel in particular, which has immediately defanged any sort of response we could have made to Russia invading Ukraine, because the whole idea in international law that you can't take territory through conquest, well, it's a lie, because we let Israel do it, and we do it because the Holocaust or whatever. That's fiction, and it's the world. Like the only way and so just to go back to JD Vance's position on Taiwan, he doesn't say it. Everyone just says like how bad AOC stumbled over it. Here's what J.D. Vance said, 2024. On Taiwan, Vance told Rostow that our policy effectively is one of strategic ambiguity. I think that we should make it as hard as possible for China to take Taiwan in the first place. And the honest answer is we'll figure out what we do if they attack. And that is...
That has zero substance behind it, even less so than her answer.
Because the truth is, if China decides that they want to invade Taiwan, which I'm not convinced that they will, but if they do, it will be a pretty horrible scenario. But America's not going to be able to do jack about it. And J.D. Vance says this thing. He plays them both off each other, saying, we can't support Ukraine because we have Taiwan also, and if we're supporting Ukraine, we also won't be able to help Taiwan. Even if the Ukraine thing wasn't happening, look at a goddamn map. There is no chance that through force would be able to repel China in that scenario. It's a fantasy. What it does do, though, is creates money, it continues money flowing from the Pentagon to arms dealers for the possibility that it might possibly happen. But if it actually happens, J.D. Vance is right. We'll figure it out, which means we won't do jack shit. Well, I mean, maybe try like what we're doing with Ukraine, but the idea that we'll put boots on the ground or whatever to try to take back Taiwan, it's a fantasy. What we need to be doing is pushing towards international cooperation.
Yep. Which was also part of her message, which they don't like, and hawks don't like it, and the military-industrial complex doesn't like it.
And the people in the media calling the speech and zeroing in on that don't like that either.
Exactly. Sorry, Brandon.
Oh no, I was just going to echo what Matt was saying, but no need to belabor the point.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just amazing to me that like it seemed very astroturfed, this obsession with calling her stupid, and then of course the New York Times runs some item about how like there's online met with like online rancor and mixed reactions online, and it's just like you guys are trying to will this into existence, it feels like, and yeah, in right-wing media they'll replay her pausing to think about her words over and over again and condition their racist and misogynistic audience to think that this woman is stupid, because that's what Trump keeps referring to any woman of color that challenges him: stupid, low IQ, stupid, low IQ. And the right has like the message discipline and the infrastructure to repeat that over and over again, and fine, let the right believe that AOC is so dumb and just a waitress or whatever. Our friends on the left do not need to be making that point for them.
I mean, I can't imagine anyone on the right has a leg to stand on when they talk about like who the dumbest person in Congress might be, or like the kinds of people that they platform, because I watch every one of John Fetterman's 1,800 daily appearances on Fox News, and in the comments of each of those videos are like endless Republican, and like Fox News was going like, Fetterman's the only Democrat that makes any sense. Fetterman's the only Democrat I can listen to. Fetterman, they should make him king of the party or whatever. Like, so clearly there's a bias that is influencing their views on things.
Yep. 100%. All right, let's take another call, and then we'll get to some more clips here. I'm very encouraged that we've been able to get to some calls today. Calling from a 515 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Jacob from Iowa. How are you doing?
Jacob from Iowa. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Listened to the show for a very, very, very long time. First time calling, and I appreciate everybody, what you guys do.
Thanks so much.
And for you taking my call. But can I ask one thing about your camera situation that you always have an argument with Sam about?
Sure.
Is the reason why he is against this is because of his comedic background about everything having to look kind of cheap for comedy to work? Is that possible at all?
I guess so. I mean, Brian
it
says
is.
100% yes, so yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there's also just Sam likes to do he's a very DIY person. I mean, some people could say, if they were not me, cheap a little bit. I would never say something like that. But it's just all in good fun. But sometimes I wish that we invested a little bit more. But I think that part of people like that the show is clearly, a
Duct tape operation.
Duct tape operation, and it's part of the charm is what I tell myself when I sometimes get frustrated about technical issues and lighting. Yep.
Sam has always loved to just throw things together. I remember many a times of him drilling holes in desks and doing all sorts of weird things to put wires through, and it was just like they make like stuff specifically for it. Why are you turning this item into that?
Within my eyesight right now, I see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about circa Obama's second term MacBook Minis.
Yeah, so it's really just part of loving Sam. Yes.
And we don't have any more extra money. Like.
Does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, in a way, there's no way of knowing how DIY Sam is if we've never seen a video of him doing anything like that. So maybe if he wants to blast out a video, that would be kind of nice.
Don't challenge Sam to start doing carpentry videos, because he might do a career change.
Well, all right. Now, I do have one thing for Sam to actually, this is just an idea of, and you, Emma, too, of maybe talking with Ben Shapiro and people that kind of hide from you a little bit, is Piers Morgan would love for you guys to say, we'll come on your show again, and we'll be obnoxious only if Ben Shapiro or Dave Rumo's on there. And Piers Morgan is such he would eat that up, in my opinion. Maybe that's a way you guys could be able to actually talk with Dave Rubin, is using Piers Morgan's ability to have no he just has no ethics,
scruples.
Yeah,
that might work.
Yeah. No, I hear that. It's a little hard for us to orchestrate that from our end. I mean, I've continued to get invited on Piers Morgan's show, and I'm not saying yes to it because I feel like, unless it was a setup like that where it was like, you get to debate this person one-on-one, I would maybe do it. But the 4-person panel scream fests it's not really worth my time. So,
well, what I mean is, don't tell Piers. The idea is to tell Piers, don't tell anybody else I'm coming on the show. Once that they're on, just bring me in.
I would. I mean,
nowhere,
it would be hilarious, but I don't know if we don't really have a personal relationship with Piers, so that's a little hard to pull off. But I hear what you're saying. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Thanks so much.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
I have a funny.
Sorry.
Sorry about that, but I have a clip. Just people should know about Piers Morgan. This is Jeremy Paxman, a British journalist of some repute, talking about something that is Piers Morgan's lying about, and it's how much he knew about how the phone hacking that was going on in the UK in their journalism. So here's a little story by Jeremy Paxman. I'll give more context if it's necessary.
Was that I was really struck by something that Piers Morgan said at lunch. I was seated, as far as I recall, between him on my left and the editor of the Sunday Mirror on my right. And Ulrika Johnson was seated opposite, next or semi-next to, almost next to Philip Green, and Victor Blank on her other side, I think. And Morgan said, teasing Ulrika, that he knew what had happened in conversations between her and Sven-Göran Eriksson. And he went into this mock Swedish accent. Now, I don't know whether he was repeating a conversation that he had heard or he was imagining this conversation. In fact, to be fair to him, I think we should accept both possibilities, that he probably was imagining it. It was a rather bad parody. So, yeah, I do remember it quite, and I was quite struck by it because I'm rather wet behind the ears in many of these things. I didn't know that that sort of thing went on. And indeed, when he then turned to me and said, "Have you got a mobile phone?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Have you got a security setting on the message bit of it?" I don't think it was called voicemail in those days. I didn't know what he was talking about. And he then explained that the way to get access to people's messages was to go to the factory default setting and press either 000 or 1234. And that if you didn't put on your own code, his words, you're a fool. Now, I don't know whether he's talking about whether...
So the fuller context of this is that there was a massive phone hacking scandal where British journalists, including ones that worked for Piers Morgan, were calling up the voicemail numbers to celebrities and even victims of crimes' phones and hitting the default code because they hadn't changed it and hearing all their messages and getting scoops that way. And Piers Morgan claims he knew nothing about it. Nothing about how the journalists were getting that information on it. He's a criminal, and he escaped justice, and we have him, being some sort of moderator on American politics now. Gross guy. But yeah, let's hear what he has to say about fucking wokeness.
Let's say this RFK thing's actually kind of a pretty big deal here. What number is this? 17. And then I guess we also have this tear sheet too. But 1 month ago, RFK Jr. went on Katie Miller's podcast.
Who doesn't remember that?
Right. I mean, she's just... They wanted to create a right-wing rival to call her daddy, and they did it. But no one pays attention.
Colin Fearer.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Like the amount that they're trying to integrate podcasting into this fascist movement is just it feels quite forced. But this is what he said literally last month about this carcinogen, glyphosate is how you would say it.
Well, I believe that glyphosate causes cancer. I believe that masks that there's no...
Okay, that's all we need.
By the way, believe is such a stupid choice of words because it's proven.
Yes. And what do you mean you believe? You're supposed to be at the head of Health and Human Services. This isn't like...
Health isn't a faith.
Right.
What was he about to say about masks?
For him. I'm not sure, but I mean that's all that's really, I think, relevant to just the headline that we got this morning. All we need to do is just scroll down. Just scroll to that headline right beneath it. Here it is. Trump has signed an executive order to increase production of glyphosate, a weed killer thought to cause cancer.
And a bunch of other ones too. And he says this is for national security purposes.
That's freedom.
It's even more insane than this because RFK Jr., before he was just like a full-on anti-vax, complete conspiracy theorist that got him into the Trump administration, won a verdict against Monsanto over them distributing a weed killer that contained that carcinogenic, am I saying it? Damn right. All right, got it. Chemical, and that chemical glyphosate. He was a part of a hundreds of millions of dollars in a verdict that they got. And RFK Jr. was a part of helping win that as a lawyer. And now the Trump administration is, because it's a gift to, I think, like the Monsanto and to these other
Bayer, who owns Monsanto,
right? And these other companies, they are saying, carcinogenic chemical, cancer-causing chemicals. I'm just gonna go with that. Go for it.
Yeah, no. Bayer was forced to pay one of the largest settlements like in history when they bought Monsanto, because this is like the Roundup lawsuit, right? Like they were forced to pay one of like the largest settlements in history or penalties in history as a result of that. Like that, quite
And
famous. We know.
Yeah, not enough. I was just gonna say real quick.
Yeah,
but it's all counteracted by raw milk consumption.
I mean, that's a real thing about this whole Maha thing. And like every time people like Jim Brewer talk about like contrails coming out of planes, we know what is causing people to get sick. It's cancer clusters. The piece from October, the Washington Post, in Iowa, young cancer patients are making a small state a bellwether of a generational reckoning. Mackenzie Dryden's happiest childhood memories are running around barefoot in the sunlit cornfields of her hometown. When she was diagnosed with cancer 2.5 years later at 18 years old, disturbing thought began to take hold. Within just 2 years, 4 other recent graduates from her high school, home to only 500 students, had also been diagnosed with cancers. Dryden's questioning taps into an unsettling shift in cancer diagnosis in America, with rates for young adults in their 20s, 30s, and 40s trending up even as overall cancer rates decline, with geography appearing to be a key characteristic in who falls ill. Cancer rates among young adults in the Corn Belt, patchwork of golden fields, blah, 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 are rising more rapidly than the country elsewhere as a whole. People that supported Trump and support big business are killing their kids with cancer. You got kids, students in their 20s, all of a sudden you got cancer because the farms outside needed to put the certain kind of pesticide on their farm. And we're talking about Fauci, like all this dumb bullshit, we're talking about contrails. No, we know what's doing it. It's the criminals. It's the corporate criminals.
Well, contrails are such a good example of how people can like look at a circumstance that has like a complex situation that is interwoven into the way we live our lives and try to find like a simple explanation for it. Because the funny thing is like planes do pollute. Like planes are a polluting like technology, but instead of focusing on like the actual ways in which planes pollute, they invent a fake way in which planes can contribute to like the way the world is worse. One that could just be turned off. Like you could just stop doing contrails and we could still keep all of like the good things about trains. I mean, trains, well, yeah, but planes, obviously. And so like a lot of like, conspiracies are people trying to retreat from like harsh truths about the world into like, simple fictions. Like that's what the big Maha agenda is. It's, you don't have to change your life in any real way. You can keep eating fries. They just have to be fried in a different kind of oil. Like you don't have to worry about exercise. You can just get TRT. Don't worry about pollution. Pollution is fake. And it relies on people just having very shallow understandings and wanting to believe things about the world that just are flattering to the way they live their lives in a lot of senses.
Exactly. It's about also, a superiority complex, which the right engages in racially, but also, and with this, they're talking about health. And if you only make these specific choices, you will be rewarded as one of the individuals that gets to be healthy, as opposed to the concept of public health, which is about the collective. So it's no coincidence that anti-vax cranks like RFK Jr. and the Maha movement believe in a sort of bespoke healthcare. One, it's for rich people, and he's a scam artist, so he's selling things to people that, you know, most 99% of Americans could not afford the lifestyle that he leads to be so-called healthy, but that it's one that retreats from the public good and from the collective into collapsing into individual choices, as the collective choices they make are about polluting people. Let's pull this up here because this is in the executive order. Just read this for a sec, how insane this is. Because, by the way, the Trump administration to make this decision invoked the Defense Production Act, claiming that this is like basically a national security issue. So there's no, in the executive order, it says, there's no direct one-for-one chemical alternative to glyphosate-based herbicides. Lack of access to glyphosate-based herbicides would critically jeopardize agricultural productivity, adding pressure to the domestic food system, and may result in a transition of cropland to other uses due to low productivity. Given the profit margins growers currently face, any major restrictions in access to glyphosate-based herbicides would result in economic losses for growers and make it untenable for them to meet growing food and feed demands. So, translation there, the executive order is saying that because to protect profit margins, we are going to call this a national security issue and allow for these companies to use an herbicide that gives people cancer because it's better for their profit margins. That's what the executive order says.
We need to, and the thing is like, if those companies can't turn a profit or stay in business without giving youth cancer, then they shouldn't be in charge of growing that production.
Right.
The state should be. And we should be taking money from all the people who are taking dividends from these companies and using it towards actually growing it. I mean, just one quick thing, just one final point. The 6 states leading for corn production, Iowa, Nebraska, Illinois, Minnesota, Indiana, and Kansas, had the same cancer frequency as the rest of the nation for young adults and overall population in 99. In the 2000s, it began to diverge, and since 2015, they have significantly higher cancer rates among those ages. That's just a subsidy to these agribusiness.
And
well, this is his way of making it up to the farming industry, the agricultural industry that his other policies have decimated. And at the end of the day, this is only going to help like the big mega corporation agriculture companies. These aren't, I'm sure small farmers aren't begging for these rules to be changed.
And what the kicker is also the fact that he's using the Defense Production Act as the basis for this means that Bayer, which, as Brian mentioned, acquired Monsanto, could be protected from illegal immunity from lawsuits because the administration is trying to give them the cover to claim that their profit margins being diminished is a national security threat.
Also, America First. Bayer is a German company.
Oh yeah, and also I didn't even put this in the sound sheet, but this morning Fox Business had a segment on all of these small farm closures across the country. That it's an epidemic. So this is
hospital closures too.
But yeah, right. Well, so but like this is for Bayer and Monsanto. This is for big ag as it gets, and smaller farms. You're going to just have to bear the costs of my tariffs destroying your business.
Sell to one of the big farms.
And then you'll have to sell to the big farms. We should be clear that like this is a part of an intentional accelerationist policy to increase the power of already monopolistic businesses.
And we saw this like last year too, towards the end, where the DOJ had them dismiss, outside of the farming industry, dismiss that lawsuit against get case against Boeing for that plane crash that happened. Like they silently dismissed that case. I mean, they're just making it easier for corporations to harm like citizens and immunizing them from that because it makes it more profitable for them. Like, I mean, so how long before we have these robo taxis on every road, these like poorly tested like robo taxis, autonomous vehicles on every road?
Right. And was waiting to see if Kowalski from Nebraska, our farm correspondent, would write in, and never disappoints. He writes, chemicals like glyphosate atrazine, and others, which are either bad for our health or bad for the environment if not used properly, are going to be more common in the short term due to the loss of our migrant farm workers. Spraying application is done because we do not have the labor to send people out to pull weeds. The biggest reason for the uptick in cancer, more than likely in the Midwest, is a result of over applying fertilizer, which causes your drinking water to be filled with too many nitrogen particles. Glyphosate tends to be more dangerous for people handling the chemicals, and the lawsuit was because of the label not clearly stating that it was a carcinogenic chemical.
Literally poisoning the younger generations because we don't want migrant labor to be around.
Incredible stuff, and not in a good way.
That's failed state stuff.
Exactly. All right, guys, we'll take one more call and then we'll read some IMs and get out of here. Calling from a 517 area code, you are potentially the final caller of the day.
Hi, this is Anonymous from Grand Rapids. I'm calling to update on two things I called about last month.
Sure, go for it.
All right, so we have a really good update and a really bad update. What do we want to start with?
Bad.
There you go.
Bad. Okay, that's more appropriate too. So I called about issues with the Grand Rapids Police Department after they arrested an activist live on camera.
Mm-hmm.
I touched on how they had a troubled history that goes back quite a while, including killing a unarmed black man named Patrick Leoya in 2022. That was a very terrible time for the community. There was a lot of protests. We even had Black Panthers showed up to protest in Grand Rapids. It has happened again. Last night, a man named Daquan Johnson was killed by Grand Rapids police. In this case, it appears that he did have a firearm, but he was just riding his bicycle, and somebody reported that there was a man on a bicycle with a firearm, and that's not a crime in Michigan. So, I mean, details will continue to emerge, but it sounds like the police somehow showed up with a canine unit, sticked a dog on him, he fled, and it ended with them fatally shooting him, murdering him. So, one more terrible incident that GRPD has presided over. So there's a candlelight vigil in Grand Rapids this evening. So please, if you're in the area, show up for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a horrible story. I mean, do you have a better sense of, like, when you called last, we had some theories. One of them being that the Betsy DeVos donates a ton to this police department, and this is kind of the DeVos home base. Is that like what do you have a sense of
what's going on here?
Yeah, what the systemic issue is, or like theories?
I mean, quite frankly, so I am new to the area. I didn't even know about the killing of Patrick Leoya until I moved here, which is sad that it happens so often. It could very well just be that this is the state of policing in America. I do know in the case of the murder of Patrick Leoya, there ended up being a mistrial, so the officer didn't face any justice. And one thing that occurred during that is, like, even like one of our city commissioners called for the local prosecutor to recuse himself due to conflicts of interest, where his top donor was the local sheriff's department or the local police department. And he refused to do so. I also heard that there was this strange incident with the county the county prosecutor's office where some of their staff would get in drunk driving incidents after staff parties, and that they mysteriously kind of escaped charges. So I don't really know. And I do want to also say, by the way, Emma, I noticed you pointed out that she was wearing a keffiyeh. that is entirely, like Jessica was wearing a keffiyeh, that is entirely likely that's the main reason she got arrested,
Right.
not due to her participation in anything else. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you giving us an update on it, and we'll be following Grand Rapids more closely due to, your calls and keeping us informed on that. Appreciate the call.
Yep. Do you want to hear the good news?
Oh,
Or do you
yeah.
gotta-
I was just about to ask.
Forgot,
For
yeah.
Christ's sakes, give me some good
Yeah,
news.
really quick. Go.
Yeah. So when I called I had called the AG's office, and they said I was the first person to call about developing anonymous ICE reporting in Michigan. Since then, we started a project in our local DSA. We were pushing for that, and they ended up, whether or not we are solely the reason that happened, who knows? But thousands of people ended up, probably from this show, calling her office, and now that anonymous reporting exists. So in Michigan, you can anonymously report ICE agents for committing crimes.
That's awesome.
We are still wanting people to pressure Governor Whitmer into, just like in Illinois, Pritzker formed an accountability commission that actually pledged to hold people accountable. That has not been formed yet by Governor Whitmer. So if you Google GRDSA, break the ice, you can, one, find out about the anonymous reporting link. We have a link in there. Two, you can fill out a form to pressure Whitmer to do this.
Awesome stuff. Appreciate the call. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All
I
right,
have some more good news.
Okay.
That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe.
The Dow.
Yeah.
The Dow.
The Dow. It's over 50,000. All right, gonna read some IMs and we'll get out of here. Who is you? Have you all covered Lindsey Graham saying that the wars of the future are planned in Israel? Side note, my coworkers have been talking about how Israel is responsible for Charlie's death, and Epstein was an Israeli agent in the Midwest sales office. I got a text from one of my most apolitical friends asking me if Epstein is still alive in Israel, and I was like, don't think so. But the fact that you're even asking me this is crazy that this is traveling this far. But
why would you know that though? It's such a funny thing. Oh, you do a podcast, you probably know.
Right, exactly. I mean, it is. I love that it's damaging the Republicans. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Charlie Kirk was not killed by Israel, though. In my opinion, I don't think.
I don't agree. Yeah, I don't think so either. And I don't think that Epstein is alive in Israel either. I think he was killed. But
I mean, I do think, I was saying it on my own stream earlier. It's a very, I think, ironic fate for Charlie Kirk that he could have contributed to the rise of this online ecosystem that is so conspiratorial and so full of hate that it got him killed, and it might result in the person who actually killed him getting away with it because no one can believe it. Primarily because people like Candace Owens are out there, people like, Tucker Carlson are out there trying to sow doubt about the motivations or like why this might have happened. And so I can't say if, Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I can't even say if it's something I really care about, to be perfectly honest. But I can say if he did and he were to get off, it would primarily be because of the conspiratorial, I think, timbre of the United States now, where like at least 1 in 12 people are like, no, it was Israel, and like it was the Mike Lapel and the ballistics don't match and all the other stuff. And that's enough to get a man off, right?
Yeah. Eminent Prof. I feel like Bobby Kennedy Jr. is trying to bring back echoes of the old DDT controversies.
DDT was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. What? I don't know. What was their controversy about?
I'm not sure.
I think it was also used in pesticides.
Like that's the problem I have with RFK is him saying glyphosate's cancerous, which is just obviously true and backed up by oodles and oodles of science, and then the very next sentence saying, I also believe masks, and whatever dumb anti-vax COVID bullshit he was going to say about masks. Like, he's a huge problem for that reason.
Yeah. Greg Buttfeld. The Dow is actually under 50,000 now. Needs some new excuses for Pam Bondi. 5 more and we'll get out of here. MJS617. Trump declares the United States will be donating $10 billion to his Board of Peace. Where are the Democrats on this complete abomination of a plan? Every time he steps in front of the mic to discuss Gaza, there should be a Democrat waiting in the wings to eviscerate him and expose his rank corruption. He should not be allowed to broach this topic without getting an immediate clapback, but all I hear is silence.
Oh yeah, the Democrats can, get a statement up to censure Rashida Tlaib when she accuses Israel of bombing a hospital. This party is corrupted by Zionism. It's not like they agree with Trump and the Board of Peace more than they agree with you at the top.
Kentucky leftist Bears also famously supported the Nazi Party in 1932. Fun stuff. Read The Order of the Day by French author Eric Boyard. Clay Donius. Indiana has also been passing laws in the last few years to make it easier for corporations to pollute.
It's also against the law for Indianapolis to build trains.
Osama bin Laden says, I listened to the AOC Taiwan thing after you mentioned it. The astroturfing and misogyny is insane. These are the same motherfuckers talking about how Elon is going to push the world into the space age. It's maddening. Yeah, talk about somebody who's completely inarticulate and can't get a word out. That is what it is. And yeah, I'm hopeful that people are starting to realize some of this is just, you don't want to necessarily play into it, but we'll see. And the final IM of the day. Hack all the things. I would love to see a Sam Seder and Tim Heidecker carpentry video podcast. Also, we should be spraying.
Edited by Vic Berger.
Yes. Also, we should be spraying fruits and vegetables with beef tallow. All right, guys. Appreciate you all so much. Thanks, Binder. Thanks, Brandon, Matt, and Brian. We will see you tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know